Pops and the Rican.
Pops and the Rican.
Look at this. Pops and the Rican. Pops and the Rican. What's the Pops and the Rican? Look at the top of his head. Pops and the Rican.
What's going on, man?
Hey, I think it's
live.
I think it's time for the Pops and the Rican show.
I think it's time. It's time for the show, bro.
But from what I just heard, I think it's time for us to start.
I think it's time.
Usually that guy with he comes in and let's get ready to. That's my cue. I gotta wake up. I gotta wake up and start paying attention.
Right.
He's
snapping.
It's like nap time's over. I gotta wake up. So yeah.
What's good with you, man? How you feeling today?
Hey, if I was any better, I think I was Brad Scott.
Hey, that's right.
that's
right.
I don't know. I don't think does it get any better than that? I don't know.
Right.
But we'll find out a little bit later.
Right.
No, but yeah, things are going well. We're in that downhill stretch now. We've kind of made sure the house is reset at the club to accommodate for an audience to come in.
Right.
And unfortunately, we can only operate at 50%. So
right.
It's one of those things when you walk in and Gutty's Comedy Club is this great intimate spot that it's not a huge room. It's a very close knit family living room type. You're up close and personal.
Yeah.
And then they come in and say, now you can only do half that room. And it's kind of like, wait, that means we can only have 40 seats. What are we going to do? But we've got that set. So I'm excited and ready for us to get in because it's going to be a great weekend. We got Joe Bates headlining.
Yep.
And Joe's excited and getting ready to, I think he's done with being, quarantined and shut down, not being able to do stuff. And so he's excited to be there. And, our feature, Jake Rubel, we haven't seen Jake in seems like forever.
Yeah.
Because of the shutdown, he hasn't been coming in and visiting the club.
Mm-hmm.
And so, that, and then we've got our house comic, Hoss Ridgway, who's going to be doing that guest spot. And, and then, our friend Ryan May is going to be hosting the show. So it'll allow us to make sure that everybody stays in line and, they're not getting up in the middle of the show and licking somebody else's armpit or something because that's not allowed. That is not allowed.
No.
After the COVID shutdown of 2020 is over, you can lick as many armpits as you want, just not at our club. That's kind of creepy.
Okay,
that's
keep it at home.
That's kind of creepy if you do that.
Yeah,
anyway,
man. So I'm excited about it too. You're right about the room. The cool thing about the room, though, the setup. Even though we'll have 40 people in, it always feels like there's more than that in the room. It just keeps everything in. So that's what I like about the room. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I'm stoked about that too as well.
Yeah, I mean when we were in the shutdown, and we had 4 or 5 comics roll through to do the quarantine comedy stuff that we put out on Gutty's TV.
Yeah.
You had 4 or 5 guys, but they were laughing at each other's material and supporting each other, and it sounded like a good room. You know? So you put 40 people in, it's going to sound like a great room.
It's great. You bring in the jokes. Make sure you bring in your jokes.
Yeah.
Now, funny,
when we get back to doing the show where we got 80 people in the room, then it's that place is gonna rock.
That's when it's nice and sweet, man. That's when it's nice and sweet.
I'm looking forward to that. So
me too. And another thing that I'm excited about is the fact that we also have Gutty's Tubies that are going to be coming into as well. Basically, it's like a scarf mask type of thing and has our logo on it. If you want to support Gutty's, you can also support Gutty's through YouTube, through the Tubies. First, I went too fast there, bro. Tubies. And then also you can support Gutty's by going to our YouTube channel, Gutty's TV, and like and subscribe, leave a comment. Make sure you hit that bell so you get notified as well. And if you like what you see, then let us know too as well, because we're working on getting better and better. And then as well, if you want to get tickets for this weekend, make sure you download our mobile app. Gutties has a mobile app that has everything you need on there too as well. It's updates. It has all of the Gutties TV information too as well. If you want to see other episodes of the quarantine comedy, you could do that, and all this other content that we're going to be throwing up there as well. And then you can download that, buy tickets directly from the app as well. So that's great. And so I'm excited about that too as well, that the fact that we are getting ready to just start to go in. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm glad that we're able to get the doors open and get everybody in. We were able to survive some of that. And that was man, that was an interesting 2 months, man. But I'm glad that we've had supporters to come in and help Gutties Comedy Club out. So we want to make sure we give a shout out to every single person that gave financially, that also gave with prayers, and also gave some encouraging words, man. We appreciate you and thank you for the love and support that you're giving to Gutties Comedy Club. So we want to thank you for that too as well. We
got some great friends of Gutties that have stepped up, and even now, you know, we've kind of still been asking people, hey, until we get to having shows on a regular basis. Yeah, this weekend we actually get to open back up. We get to do the show on a limited basis. Right. You know, 40 seats. So 40 please seats. Don't wait too long to get your tickets. Get them now, so because I don't want somebody saying, "Well, I wanted to come, and then you guys sold out." That's not my fault. Yeah. But here's the thing. We've said, you know, until we get back to doing shows consistently, it's going to take a while for us to recoup the loss of what has happened over the last couple of months. Mm-hmm. And people have still been responding and still giving some money, and we appreciate that. I mean, that is just huge. Yeah. And it's a testament to the fact that people see the value of good, clean, family-friendly entertainment. They want to see it thrive. And so, and let's be honest, that spot in Greenwood where we are is just great, and it's the city is doing stuff to enhance the area for families. Yeah. That's going to be a great spot, and so I'm excited about that. You know,
man.
Now I got to tell you, I'm interested to find out from our guest, because I know he's part of a venue, a club. Yep. And I kind of want to know I'm going to ask him a little bit about how they weathered the storm a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
And just see what they've got going on the other side. Because, you know, we're over here on the southeast side of Indianapolis.
Right.
And they're over there at Red Curb on the west side.
Yep.
So we'll talk about that and see what's going on there.
Yeah, man.
Anyway, but maybe we should go ahead and let's invite him into the room. I don't know.
Bring him in.
I mean, hopefully he's taking a nap now. I don't know if I had to wait that long, I'd be taking one. I'll probably take a nap during the introduction while you're bringing him in the room. I don't know.
Mm-mm. All right, let's welcome Brad Scott to Pops and Rican Show, man. Where are you at? Oh, there he is.
Hey!
There he is.
I wanted to run in like the Ultimate Warrior. I so badly. That's how I wanted to make my intro. Pops, you son of a gun. And you crazy glass cutter, you guys.
I'm glad you didn't come running in, because that would have given me a heart attack. But
I thought my almost cursing was going to give you a heart attack.
Let's go.
Well, that's I did feel my pacemaker jump a little bit. Oh, there we go. You know, but you know, we're all good now. So
right, we're good now.
Congratulations, fellas!
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to the big weekend for you guys. I hope it's just at 50% capacity, though. I can't wish you for more than 51%.
Right.
But, it's going to be good to have comedy back up and going in the area, and I'm happy you guys were able to survive the Rona.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
It's been a rough time, but you know, it's time for people that are willing to get out, and we're ready. If people, some people say, well, I'm going to wear a mask. Okay, wear your mask. Some people say, I don't want to wear a mask. You know what? As long as you ain't coughing and sneezing and licking Steve's armpit, I don't care.
Don't be licking people, man.
But
yeah. By the way, is licking armpits a thing that happens regularly in Gutties?
No, bro, it's not.
Yeah, I don't like to tell stories out of school, but
about licking armpits right now.
It's probably my Uncle Vince. It's his fault because as a kid, he would always go here, lick my armpit. And I'm like, no, that scared me. So I'm gonna blame him. I'm gonna blame my weird Uncle Vince.
You had a weird uncle.
Is that what they called him back in the day? Weird.
Right, exactly.
Now they call him felon Uncle. They have to call him. You must report to your neighbors, Uncle Vince.
Oh well, it's family. What are you gonna do?
Oh man.
So,
run.
So, Brad, let me ask you. We always kind of get the show started by. We want to know a little bit of your history about how'd you get in the game of comedy. What was it that at some point you said, "Hey," either you said, "Hey, I'm funny," or "Hey, I got no skills, so I'm going to do comedy." I don't know what it was. What brought you into the game of comedy?
I'll never forget the day I was 19 years old, and Richard Pryor came up to me on the streets in Broad Ripple, and he handed me a golden microphone, and he said, "This is yours now. You are the chosen one. I no longer need this." And, what is it now? 18 years later, I am a Uber driver. So I don't know if the prophecy has been fulfilled.
Right.
Right at the top of his game.
I think I have the same
microphone. Yeah, it turned out to be a
same
homeless guy
microphone
walking around giving out pixie sticks that look like microphones, but I still have it. No, my story is very cliche. It's I started at an open mic with the encouragement of friends. We were home from like a college break, like fall break or something. Mm-hmm. Well, okay, I take it back. They were home from their fall break because they went to real colleges. I went to Vincennes University, and this is how much I did not take that school seriously. Their fall break was different than mine, but I just took both breaks. I was just like, I'll be fine without going to those 3 days of class. And we went out to Crackers Comedy Club in Indianapolis, and they convinced me to do an open mic. I did an open mic, killed because, I was, I think, 19 at the time. So still had a big connection. Everybody I went to high school with, all my family still cared about me. And they all came out and supported me. I felt comfortable, just had a big set, big 3 minutes. And then I went and did a showcase at One Liners. I used to be in Greenwood about a month later, and literally didn't get a single laugh for 6 entire minutes. And Peggy Wilson, who was the one of the co-owners, when I walked out the comics hallway door, just immediately came up to me with a beer and a hug and was like, you did fine.
Yeah.
Then I was like, maybe this wasn't for me. And I was like, I'm going to do it one more time. I'm not going to tell a single person I know. So I went back out to an open mic at Crackers. I'd actually been reached out to by the guy who took over. This is how old it is. The guy that had just taken over as the manager of Broad Ripple and running the open mic, Chris Miller, reached out to me, said, "I'm the new manager here and I'm running the open mic. I saw your name on the list. Why don't you come back out?" And I was like, what, maybe it's a sign. So I wrote a whole new 5-6 minutes. I didn't tell a single person. I got there. I looked on the list. I was the first person after the MC. I was like, well, I guess fate really wants me to find out. And the set went really well. I was hooked ever since. I got lucky due to some factors alongside my God-given natural talent, and I was booked very quickly. I started hosting shows, professionally at Crackers, I think after my 4th month, maybe, and just slowly climbed up, the ladder to mediocrity ever since.
Right. And you're right, man. Some of that
I'm climbing the ladder
totally
of success
relate.
like a WWE wrestler climbs the ladder in a match to get a belt.
Man.
You just walked up and grabbed
my mid-90s wrestling references. Dennis is like, that's not Bruno Sammartino. You never had a ladder.
Sammartino. That's awesome, dude. Oh man, that's going back.
That's pretty much how I started. I just walked on, grabbed the mic, and said, "Get off the stage!"
Yeah.
No, not really.
You're right, man.
Put the MC in an airplane spin. Yeah, you know what?
DDT that mug.
I don't know if this has ever been done, but every episode you guys start off by asking your guests about their start in comedy. Do we know the origin story of Pops and the Ricans individuals starts in comedy?
Well, I think before we came on YouTube and we were just doing the audio version. Well, actually, we might have had a video version of it. I think we actually, in one of the early shows, we actually talked about how Steve jumped into the game because his dad basically his dad either was a funny minister that Steve liked, or his dad kicked him out of the house, which Steve thought was funny. I don't remember because I was supposed to be paying attention and I wasn't.
Wow.
But we talked about that in one of the episodes back then.
Right. And your start was you were licking your uncle's armpits and he thought that was hilarious. So then, you jumped on and said, hey, man, maybe I got something.
That is why we continue the tradition to this day at Gutty's.
Yeah. And so, during every one of my sets, I invite at least one person up out of the audience for a good armpit lick. And it's hilarious, and that's going to be on my next DVD.
7-cent lick. It's like at a baseball game.
That's going to be on my next Netflix special.
That's horrible. Is that the title?
Your next one?
Armpit
what was the first one called? My Uncle Touched Me?
Right.
He touched me.
There it is, bro. It is.
Yeah. So
no, but I grew up in Chicago, and my dad is a Pentecostal preacher, and when he was doing his sermons, he would just interject jokes in the sermons, and it just made everybody just roll. And I'm like, oh man, I like that. I like that dynamic there. What is that all about?
What kind of jokes would he interject?
Dude, I mean, stuff about what he would do is he would take the stories that were in the Bible that he was talking about and just kind of make it more of a relatable with everybody else. And so he would just poke in somebody's name or just be something goofy at the time, or maybe even something more relevant on TV. And then people were just like, he was
throwing in Carlin bits?
He was just right, exactly. No, but
we're going to talk about the 7 words you can't say on television.
Exactly, yeah. But
these are the 7 words you better not say in church. And the whole crowd rolled.
On the podcast.
And they were like, "Oh, he's right." No, but and then from that point on, it was like just comedy was just always been something that I loved, and so I just jumped on the same way. I didn't get the chance to go to open mics at the time. In high schools, I was writing jokes, but I didn't know how the structure was until I finally hit an open mic, and I was like, okay, what's this all about? So downtown Chicago, you got the Factory, and then you also got Zany's. And then
love Zany's.
So yeah, I mean, I went there a couple times with open mics too, with my buddies. They dared me to go up there, and some nights that I went up there was good, and there were other nights that was just garbage. It was just absolute garbage. But I just kept at it, and from that point, I just was you know what, I'm going to keep going on and on, and from that point,
How old were you when you started?
In high school, it was like senior in high school, so 17, 18.
How old are you now?
42.
You look like you're 22.
I'm 42, man. 42. So yeah,
good.
so I've been out in the game for a minute.
I'm 21.
But it was like more or less
21.
like
21.
Yeah,
That was the year that you started comedy?
No.
Started in 21?
No, I think I am 21. I'm not sure. I forgot. Anyway, no.
Right.
How did you start, Dennis?
I actually kind of backed into doing comedy. I was doing motivational speaking in middle schools and high schools, and I kind of billed myself as a motivational humorist because I always I know we kind of joked about my uncle making us lick his armpit, but I come from a family that's always enjoyed laughing, and not my uncle Vince, but I had 2 uncles that always made us laugh. My Uncle Tony and my Uncle Hap, and they kept us laughing all the time. And so it was just one of those things that, as a kid, I was like, I got to do that. I want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I started doing the motivational speaking stuff, and really I even backed into that kind of because it was out of my own stupidity when I was stuck on stupid doing drinking and drugging and stupid stuff that I shouldn't have ever done. That kind of gave me the story to go talk to students about, that I took the humor and went in for that. And then I was actually at an event where I met Steve Rizzo. And I don't know if you ever crossed paths with Steve Rizzo in your years.
That sounds very, very familiar. Steve
he's a comic out of the New Jersey, New York area. I think he was in New York, but he's been in the game forever. He's had HBO specials and PBS specials and you name it, he's done it. And I came off the stage after doing my motivational humor stuff. And he asked me, he says, how long you been doing comedy? I said, well, I don't do comedy because the expectation's way too high. You have to be funny all the time. Motivational humorist, I just have to throw a joke in every once in a while, you know. And he's like, no, what you were doing up there was comedy with content. You get some of that serious content out of the way and just do the comedy and you're going to have a lot of fun. And so Steve was the guy that really kind of got my head spun around and turned me into looking at what could happen in the world of comedy. And then I stepped out of that and immediately realized that because I had been doing so much work in corporate America before that, I realized that I needed to go ahead and find my niche in corporate comedy because I was used to a much bigger paycheck than the clubs gave. And so
I know.
Yeah, I made the jump over into comedy, but pretty much made that jump over to doing corporate comedy, and that's where I've spent the majority of the last 25 years is doing corporate comedy, with the occasional club still because I've got friends that are in the club world, and so I occasionally would do that.
Like me.
And then, and then my buddy Steve.
Wow, dang, Dennis!
Like, man, he just straight.
And then my buddy.
People don't know this. Dennis and I have known each other for a long time.
We have, and I do want to talk a little bit about a couple of the different things that you're involved with now. Because when we first met, I don't think you were actually. You may have been involved when we first met in running a room, and I don't remember if you were still doing stuff with Crackers at that time, or
there was a lot of options when you kept saying what you were involved with.
Well, I realized that.
I used to help. I used to help out at the open mic at Crackers a lot. I used to help out at the open mic at Crackers a lot, and I used to a lot of times Brent Terhune and I would stand in the sound booth and just kind of make fun of brand new people when they go up because it's fun with the Jimmy Roberson was there for a little while, and then I was always around because I was one of the more, I guess you call seasoned comics. And I mean, I did kind of book a few independent things throughout the years, like at bars, but I didn't really start getting into that seriously. I mean, I booked them like a comic would book them back in the day. Bad pay, just take whatever you could get, just wanting to have a good, just trying to get a stage, put a little bit of money in my pocket, as opposed to now where I take that aspect of the business much more seriously.
Well, we'd like to, but COVID kind of messes with that a lot. But so let's talk a little bit about what you've got going on now, because I know I've
got a scheduled trip for Uber that I have to do here in about 20 minutes.
well, we better hurry it up then.
Right.
So I know you're involved with Red Curb over on the west side of Indy. Are you? And I probably should know this. But again, I'm old and I took my nap, and so sometimes things get fuzzy during my nap. But are you like part of the ownership there? Or are you just over there helping them get things rolling there? Or what's your role with Red Curb?
So the owner is Will Pfaffenberger, and if people from Indianapolis know him as Producer Will on the Smiley Morning Show, the White Smiley Morning Show, the one on 99.5, not the Ricky Smiley morning show. And Will is the owner, and I think that we decided that my title was Emperor or Lord of Comedy. I'm not an owner. I don't have any ownership in it. I'm kind of like I'm the stand-up booker, and I've branched out a little more. We were planning for this year until, hashtag COVID-19, hashtag we're all in this together.
Yeah.
I had planned on, I had a lot of events planned for this year that we were really excited about. We're still working towards those. We're planning on having a drunk Mario Kart tournament.
Nice.
Yep. It's where you have to drink an entire beer before the end of the race, but safety first. You cannot drink and drive. You must pull your Mario Kart over to take a drink. So it becomes a strategy game. Do you chug it all up front and try to make up the time? Do you wait to the end? Right. Cross finish line, because if you cross finish line with the beer, you go to jail. We have a cop that will be on premises. We're also going to do an adult spelling bee, which is a drunk spelling bee. A lot of them are going to be alcohol related, I guess. We plan on maybe doing a live dating game show. Kind of maybe even, maybe people might think it's like the West Side White Rabbit. Not to that extent, though. Just different type of comedy related events, that aren't necessarily traditional stand-up. But I'm kind of taking the lead on that. And Will has, a very young son and a new baby. So, I'm hoping to be able to get to a point where I can give him some time off away from the club and do some of the things, that he does, so that he has one less thing to do.
Yeah.
But I will say we've done all right through this, because Will started doing these virtual improv shows on Facebook where you can make donations throughout the show, and people would usually just pop by and watch for a minute or two, but they would they're very generous with the donations.
Awesome.
Will has meant a lot to that city of Avon. They're very proud of him. They're very proud to call him one of their own. They've been very supportive of Red Curb, and we're going to be okay. And we're just like you guys now at this point, waiting it out. Yeah. Until they allow us to start making money again. But we're excited. We have Mick Foley, who's going to be coming in September, barring any sort of setback. And very excited. Probably one of the first weeks we'll be allowed to be open.
Dope.
The Brad Scott Feed My Kid show, where I'm going to just do comedy until people give me enough money to feed my kid.
Yeah, it's good.
You have to do that legally. I checked. You have to feed them.
You have to. Tell us a little bit about DIY Jokers. What's that all
about? So this is a company / comedy collective that was started by myself and comedians Brent Terhune here in Indianapolis and Dave Landau in Detroit. We kind of noticed that whenever, either all three of us were together, or, whenever each of us were around each other, we talked a lot about comedy, and kind of like that's what comics do. I told Tony Foxworthy when he was starting out emceeing, I said, one of the things you're going to notice a big difference in now that you're kind of working professional shows and driving, the feature and the headliner, is when you're at open mics, you hear a lot of conversation about the craft of comedy and, the process and the art of it. And I go, when you're driving the feature and the headliner, they're just going to complain about comedy clubs and bookers and the business and everything else. And he called me like 2 weeks later. He's like, oh my God, you were so right. All they kept being was like, yeah, that guy's a bleep hole, and yada, yada. And so, and it's because there's a lot of bad in comedy, which is why I love you guys so much. You're good people and you're running, a good club. There's a lot of bookers out there that take advantage of comedians. There's a place in Michigan, I'm not going to name it or who books it, but the venue seats well over 200 during their tourist season. Did we lose a minimum of one big thing, $20 a piece, and they pay you $75 to feature and $125 to headline, no hotel, and they charge you for bottled water. Like, that's the kind of stuff that happens in comedy. We started to notice that, like, comedians, while theoretically we should be one of the most important parts of this business,
Sure. Yeah.
somehow we're just considered the most expendable, the least important, and we're the first thing that's kind of pushed aside. I can't tell you how many hotels I've stayed in where there's been crack openly sold outside my room because the booker just went to Priceline, sort from low to high, and go with the first option. Yeah. And it makes a big difference. Like,
well,
the reason a lot of these. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, because I understand that side of it too as well. As we started the show here in Gutties, we wanted to get the best, but at the same time, we're just starting, and so we do have to make money. At the same time, butts in the seat is important, and so the concept.
No, there's a difference though. You guys aren't pulling in $5,000 from your door every show and paying less than $200 for your acts and charging them for a bottle of water. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's a difference between a smaller venue that can't afford it.
That is a pretty good idea. I think I might have to I don't have to work on that.
Sorry, Joe.
Yeah. So when Joe shows up on Friday night, I'll be like, hey, Brad told me I was supposed to collect $500 from you and for this bottle of water.
Yeah. No, but I get.
Don't make me call your uncle.
I don't know if it's because of the fact that it's so competitive out there. Because again, we're new to the game. We're young. As far as greedy. People want to be greedy.
No, it's greed. It's greed. It's 100% greed.
Yeah, it's like you're too greedy that you totally overlook the craft. You overlook the struggle that everybody's going through. At least the process. Everybody's going through. As far as comics, especially headliners, they're going and they're traveling and they're hustling, and so that struggle is there where you have to make sure everything ends meet.
A lot of these one-night venues die because of that, because they don't understand. An audience, and especially a small town audience, will only go to a venue for 2 bad shows in a row. Usually whoever books it has a couple of connections with some really good comics that they may know from the area. So maybe the first, 2 or 3 weeks are really great shows because you get veteran guys in there. And sometimes you get guys who are probably even too good for the room helping a friend out. But then they have to start going to pools of people who may not be ready, and the show's quality suffers. And again, an audience will go to a bad show if they, and go, okay, it's a bad show, whatever. They go to like a second, maybe a third, and then they're done. They're like, yeah, we went to a couple of those shows. They weren't that great. And once you have that reputation, the venues die. Whereas if you take care of the comics, you don't honestly have to overpay. There's little details that you can do that make the weekend so much better. If you put the emphasis on the show like you guys do, put the emphasis on treating the comics well like you guys do, that makes a huge difference. Whenever I'm at a one-nighter and the first thing that I hear from the staff when I go up, I'm, hey, I'm one of the comedians. There's a comedy show tonight?
Right.
Oh, this is gonna be awful. You know what I mean? Like, the show is not important at all, and they don't even turn off the TVs. There's all these little things you can do to make the show better, little details you can pay attention to. And if you treat the comics like rock stars and give them a nice place to stay, better comics will go do venues. At our heart, we're comedians. We love doing comedy, and we're all, attention. Can I say attention? Promiscuous.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how far I can go. Attention promiscuous to that, limelight. So I'll absolutely go do a lower paying show if I know it's going to be an amazing crowd and I can work on some stuff. There's ways to make up for that. Like I said, there's a difference between not having the budget to pay comics and then just trying to throw a money grab together and get people to get in there to take the money and not caring if the show fails in 2 or 3 months. That's the big difference. And there's a lot of those venues out there, and you're forced to do them because maybe that booker does have one really good room that you want to do. And you can't do that room unless you do the others.
I actually remember a show probably 15 years ago. I asked the booker, I said, so is it okay if I sell some merchandise? And the guy's like, yeah, but we get 20%.
Yeah.
I was like, so I'm not selling any merchandise at your club then. I'll just take your money. Because I'm not coming to give you my money, so
You're a better man than I did. I would have announced on stage, I will be selling these out the back of my trunk at the Shell station.
Yep, exactly.
Well, I didn't say I didn't sell merchandise. I just didn't sell it at their club.
Right.
I wasn't giving them 20% just because I brought some merch along. But
Dennis is like, I'm not gonna be selling merchandise. My uncle will be. He's helping me out. You gotta lick his armpit and then
right. Exactly.
If you don't lick Uncle Vinny's, if you don't lick his armpit, it's $45 a shirt. You lick his armpit, $15 a shirt.
Make that hustle, man.
Yeah.
7 minutes in heaven.
Right. Out of control. No, but you're right.
So being sick of all that,
yeah.
I kind of always, especially because Brent Terhune and I used to do a podcast called WrestleMania. It was a comedy pro wrestling podcast, and after the show we would kind of sit there and shoot the stuff, and we would always talk about like, why are comics like more like wrestling? We're like, like you have DX, they're all branding this one thing, they're all like they're all under this one brand, this one umbrella. You see DX, you recognize them. Comics should do more of that. We should watch out for each other. We should kind of start bonding more together. We should put our own show. Why aren't we booking? Like, why aren't we going in and producing shows? Right. And then Brent got extremely successful, along with Dave Landau, who also was one of the founders of this. And so I kind of agreed that like the deal was, I'll do the legwork and use your guys' names. So we'll sell merch. They'll get their profit from their share. I'll do all the legwork from it, and we're going to start producing and booking comedy shows that pay comics, what they should be, and that put the attention into the show, so that if the show fails attendance wise, it's not going to be from a lack of effort on our part.
Right.
So far, we've only had one, and it wasn't from a lack of effort on our part. It was a little bit of me and a little bit of the venue. I put too much trust in there, but it was a lesson learned. But the other. We've done 4 other ones now. They've all been, greatly attended, and it's honestly probably working too hard harder than I should on them. But I believe in this, and I think comics deserve that. They deserve to get paid a fair compensation. They deserve to know that the room they're going to stay in is going to be clean, that they're not going to have their car broken into, and it's nice. And so we're trying our best to put that little footprint in the business where so many comics are taken advantage of. We got sick of waiting for people to give us, opportunities. Terhune with his redneck character and Landau with his Ascension and Compound Media. So DIY felt, perfect, like a perfect fixture. And we're now in like a little over a year of doing it. We've done 4 shows. Will's been kind enough to allow all of the Red Curb stand-up shows to be, DIY Joker shows. We've had a few testimonials from, bars we've worked with, and we also do consultations. So if a bar or, whatever venue is struggling and they can't figure out why, we have a combined 60-something years in the business between the 3 of us. So we can go in and try to figure it out, and more than likely we will. And at the very least, we can figure out whether it's just hopeless or not, or figure out what can be done to maybe turn things around. And we offer consultation to people starting out in comedy, because there's not a lot of options to learn not how to write, because there's plenty of, comedy classes and comedy boot camps that'll take your money for that. We focus more on the preparing you to be a comedian off stage, what you need to know. Like, no one knows how to start emceeing or how to get into a club. I didn't. I got lucky. Most of us just get lucky at those points. And so we offer the services of giving you that inside information and giving you kind of the direction to do that, because I wish I would have had that option when I was starting out. It would have, saved me a lot of mess ups and trial by errors. Yeah. And that's, it's kind of where we're at now.
Well, that's dope, man, because the great thing about it is the fact that you guys have so much experience too. And so it's just the same way. Like, you know how things work, you know how they function, how it flows. It's kind of similar to how Dennis and I understand the process of a show. We understand the components. We understand what's important. We understand the importance of how everything needs to, represent the brand and what we're putting out there. Everything has to represent who we are, and plus the fact that we've had experience on stage and we know what works. It's good to know. Okay, I know, because I'm always telling Dennis, make sure that the comics are taken care of, and he can tell you. I can attest to as well. So it's like understanding and knowing.
I'm at my friend Corey Miller's house, and I literally said to him while you guys were doing the intro, I said, they have an app that is so smart. Like, there's so many clubs that have been around for years that aren't that smart. That's intuitive and is thinking ahead. And I saw that with the way the open mic was run the night that I popped in. And I mean, I knew things were going to be run well, because again, I've known Dennis for years, and he's somebody I've respected for years. And the open mic was run. It was fantastic. I mean, you care about, you can feel how much you two care about this club. You're doing a podcast devoted to it. You're doing all the things that so many other clubs don't know to do, or don't care to do, or don't believe in. You guys are doing them. So, I mean, if for whatever reason, let's say down the line it fails, it's not going to be because you guys didn't do your part. It's going to be because it's Greenwood.
Right.
Yeah. I will.
Well, the good thing is
I'll say this. Steve told me we were doing the podcast because the judge ordered it.
It caused us to be innovative, so we were like, let's do it.
If this thing isn't court ordered like Steve told me, then I'm not sure why I'm here. But no, here's what I will say. I have run every business that I have been a part of. I've run on the giver's gain mentality. Is if I do what I can to raise others up around me, I'm going to become better in the process. And by doing that, and it's that what goes around comes around approach.
Classic Justin Timberlake song.
Or if
exactly.
I was going to sing it too, but I don't know the tune or the words.
Right.
But here's, it's at the bottom line of all of this. We kind of came to this approach of just saying, not only do we want to have the type of rapport with comics that are coming out to work for us, but we want to have that same rapport with the people that are coming to see those comics. And we want to have when we said we want to be a clean, family-friendly entertainment venue, it was that the issue of family kind of is at the core of that. We want to feel like this is family. So the comics are family with us. The customers that are coming in for the shows are family with us. And that way I don't have a problem saying, hey, just because you're my younger brother doesn't mean you don't have to pay.
Well, and you guys are doing, how long have you been open?
Since August of last year.
Not quite a year.
So, and you can minus 2 months for hashtag COVID-19, hashtag we're all in this together.
Yeah.
So like 6 months, basically 5-6 months.
Yep.
You've had some great comics come through there. I was honestly, because I didn't know you guys were behind it when I first heard that there was a comedy club in Greenwood, and I was like, oh, okay, and it's a clean comedy club. And then I saw, Dennis is involved, and I saw the passion, Steve, that you had running that open mic, and then I started looking on the walls, and I'm like, oh wow, Trayun was here. Andy Beningo was great. I mean, that dude is great. He works every legit circuit in the country.
Yeah.
Joe Bates, who you have coming up this weekend. Joe is a great comic, and you're doing smart, and you're being very smart about it. And that's why I said I wish you guys the best of luck, because you care. That's the best way to put it.
I appreciate that, man. That's a big deal. It is a big deal, because we're in it for the long haul. We want to be able to. We know that it's going to take time, and you have to develop relationships. You have to build a constant connection, not just with the community, but with comics and also in the industry, because we all know that it can get really ugly, especially when it comes to trying to get a name for something or even like trying to get ahead of it someone else. And it's not about that. We've never been about that. It's all about building a brand that we believe in. And because we believe in what we got and we're pushing it here in Greenwood, it's working because we're putting that and it shows. We reaching out to, comics like yourself and just everybody who has come in contact with us, not only sees that we take time to build the brand, but also the care that we have. So I appreciate those words coming from you. And others that have been able to be in experienced Gutties. So thanks.
Must feel pretty good to get something nice said to you by an Uber driver, huh?
Because Dennis don't say nothing.
I say stuff. He just doesn't listen because
one of the most respected Uber drivers in the city.
There you go.
So Brad, let me ask you, what's next for Brad Scott? I mean, what do you got on the horizon that you're working on or you're moving towards?
Mid-June, I have a probation meeting.
Hey, there it is.
Let's see here. I've got right now, honestly, I don't know. I don't know the state of comedy. From what I've kind of heard through rumblings is there's a chance that a lot of the bigger name comics, when everything does open all the way back up, the guys that would normally do the old National Center are going to start doing clubs to start out because it's a safer option.
Yeah.
And that means everybody gets pushed down the list. And I know this is hard to believe, but many clubs wouldn't put me in the same category as, Dave Chappelle or, Bert Kreischer or those guys. I'm just as shocked as you are. So it may be a year and a half before I get back to working the same amount of road work or the same type of road work. Because I was starting to headline some smaller clubs, and I was really hoping that this year was the year I was going to kind of more establish myself as a headliner with a few of the bookers I've worked for years. And I mean, I may be looking at that, not just waiting for the pandemic to be over, but waiting for the aftermath of the pandemic to be over before that happens. Or who knows, maybe one of my other friends will become famous and I'll just ride their coattails. I have no issue with that.
Roll with them,
Yeah, I have great hopes for Brent Terhune to really become world famous so that I can latch on.
Counting on it.
I can just latch on to his coattails.
Come on through again, bro.
Which I don't think he'll put up with because I'm much bigger, larger, fatter than you. Yeah.
Every time Brent comes around now, I will have my son just come out with holding the stomach going, "Oh, Brent, I haven't eaten in weeks."
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah,
you got a couple people on. Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
I'm gonna say I tried that when Brent came to the club. Like, Brent, I haven't eaten it. He's like, "Well, that's not my fault," and just walked away from
me. He's like, "No, come on, Dennis, I'm looking at you. No, you've eaten in the last few weeks."
Yo, Jason, do you know who Jason Nicholson is?
I do know who Jason Nicholson is.
He's like,
I love Jason Nicholson.
He's calling you out and saying he's not at Corey's house. You can't see a fish tank in the picture. He's a fibber.
No. Corey's no longer at the Millers, dude, Jason.
Yeah.
He's
what do we evidently fish on the bookshelf is a big thing. I'm not sure.
Jason,
let me see. Hold on.
Obviously, I'm at
let me get a better angle here so you can see. Right there, you go.
Yeah.
I
can't move the camera, unfortunately. We
saw
what happened with that.
Yeah.
Trying to start.
He says.
I'll find something that shows Jason.
Yeah, he says. Yeah, I don't see any fish on the bookshelf, so he calls shenanigans.
Oh, no, hold on.
There we go.
Oh.
There you go, Jason.
Fish on the bookshelves.
There you go.
If I'd have known that was there, I think we would have cut this interview short a long time ago.
All right, Dolphins.
It's not mine, Dennis.
To say,
that's cool, man.
This is really not my house. Why does anybody believe it?
You just broke in? It's just like I found somebody. Okay.
It's my uncle's house. I have to lick his foot.
You're welcome to say foot.
Yeah. That was not my first instinct to go with on that joke.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. You're doing great.
So that does explain why you were having so much difficulty when you were first trying to log in to join us tonight, because you were still trying to hide from the homeowner there. That you're like, I got to find a room where I can be quiet and get on this podcast where I won't be known.
Have you heard me this podcast? They just think there's a ghost. They're like, wow,
it's like,
this ghost is really bad at content, but he won't stop doing podcasts.
Yeah, well, you know.
I just have to, so yeah, remind me every 17 minutes to just go, ooh, to keep up the charade and keep a roof over my head.
Keep it. That's good, man. It's good.
Well, you know, it's nice that you are close enough to whatever neighborhood that is, and that you now know the routines of people, so you can sneak into houses and have a place to get in to do events like this. You know, that's
good.
Yeah, and apparently the routine of the people up above Corey is what are they? Are they what are they playing rugby? Are they?
You got a clog. You got a clogger's problem. You got a clogging problem.
Corey's got to go up with DJ soon. That's crazy. Yeah, it's so loud up there. Sorry.
It's all good, man. It's all good.
Well, Brad, I want to thank you for taking some time to sneak into somebody's house so you can hang out with us.
What the heck is this? What the heck is it? Oh, we're not gonna go until you tell us to stop. Obviously, Dennis has had enough of me because literally before we started recording this, he was like, "I mean, we'll go all night if you want to go." And then we're not even an hour into this.
He's
snapping. Like, all right, I am done. I have had my fill. I'm good.
We can keep going. I just you sounded like you were winding down. You were like, okay, well,
no,
I'm
just getting started.
I need to get off this podcast because I got to go sneak into somebody else's house because evidently I got to find a place that has fish on the bookshelves or something. I'm not sure.
It's me, Brent Terhune. Was it the what's the Home Alone, the bandits? You and Brent going to each house. Bandits. The wet bandits. You going to everybody's house.
Is
that where you guys find your venues? You just walk. You're like
Spotify bandit. Because I am stealing my Spotify for one of my friends who doesn't know I have their password.
So, Brad, where can anybody? You have an album out, right? You have the Single Dad.
Have what?
Is it the Single Dad? What happened?
Woo! Single Dad. I said this on Juice in the Morning, but it's a good enough joke. I'm going to reuse it, rerun it. I don't know what is wrong with this Single Dad project. It's cursed. I don't know if it was on the cover of Madden and I wasn't aware of this, but it is.
That's good.
It is. So I tried to record it at a comedy club in Indianapolis. I refer to it as a comedy club in Indianapolis because they screwed up and screwed me, and I don't like to say negative things about things by name.
Oops.
So we're still gonna. It's almost word for word what I said on Juice Tomorrow, but we're gonna still use that footage, the audio, and we're gonna release one physical copy of it, like Wu-Tang, at some point, and auction it off to someone who has found the cure for AIDS but has jacked up the price on it.
There you go.
And then we recorded at Red Curb months later. Again, all this has been done with Creative Zombie Studios, who produces my podcast, Subjective Comedy, available on Apple and Spotify.
Okay.
And the show at Red Curb was amazing. It was incredible. It was phenomenal. The crowd was great. We had a bunch of people there, but it was like my Single Dad set, where my traditional set, like it was a hodgepodge of material. I talked about being a single dad for like the first 10 minutes or so, and then I went into all types of different areas, and then I closed with Brick in Your Face, like you should, and then last summer. That was last February. Last summer, my friend Daniel Sloss, amazing comedian. He has a couple of Netflix specials and HBO special. Check him out. He was doing like his first big. He's from Scotland, and he doesn't do a whole lot of American tours. He normally sticks to New York or LA, and he did his first big American tour. Seeing the Midwest for the first time. So I was just kind of on the road hanging out with him all summer, and he is known for doing these long form sets that have one narrative through the set. And all, you know, he'll branch off and do a joke here and there, but it all comes back to this one narrative and kind of, you know, wraps itself up at the end. And it fascinated me, and it was so intriguing. It was something I felt like I would be good at and I wanted to do. Yeah. And I had always thought about doing the actual real story of how I became a single dad as a long form narrative, because the story itself is insane. Okay. I mean, it involves my son's mom I met when we were like 20, right after I first started comedy. And I realized that she was literally crazy and bipolar. And so we dated for like 2 months. That was it. We ran into each other 5 years later, had a one-night stand. She got pregnant, lied about the pregnancy 3 times, had our kid, went to prison for 6 months for neglect of a child I did not know she had. Got out of prison, told me I had a kid, did a DNA test. Things are as stable as could be possible in this situation for a few years. And then I find out that she'd been doing heroin and doing it around our kid and the kid that she had with the guy that she was with and was kind of stable. So we went to, you know, court with CPS, and then she had an incident with the guy she was with. They got into a fight. He gave her a black eye. She scratched his face and everything else. She didn't report it to CPS like she was supposed to. And they were minutes away from putting my daughter, at the time, my daughter, in a foster home. Wow. And unless I came and got her, I luckily was home. I legitimately was working a lot on the road at that time. Not a self-deprecating joke. I legitimately was, but I happened to be home that Saturday. Went and picked her up. The next week, she signed over sole custody to me, and the court made sure to put in that she got supervised visitation, and I made sure to appoint that she got an unlimited supervised visitation. I wasn't trying to keep, you know, my kid away from her at all. I wanted my kid to have a good relationship. She did one supervised visit, canceled a few times, didn't show a few times, did another one, and that was like 6-7 years ago, and that is literally the last time we have seen or heard from her since. I call her Schrodinger's addict.
Yo.
Don't know if she's dead or not. Schrodinger's addict.
Wow, dude.
Cat. It's in the box. So we have a dark sense of humor in this family. And then but my kid is amazing. Wow. My kid has handled it amazingly well, very well. Just he's never used it as an excuse. He's never used it as a cry for help. Right. And then about 2.5 years ago, my daughter told me that she was gay. Was attracted to girls and not boys. Happiest day of my life. Got out a cigar. You know, you don't have to worry about the old Scott.
Getting arsenal.
Well, getting pregnant by when they're not ready. That's a Scott tradition. So then about 2-3 months, no, I guess at this point in time, it's been like 6-7 months ago. Sorry, hashtag COVID-19, hashtag we're on this together. Right. About 6-7 months ago, my daughter told me that she didn't feel like a girl, she felt like a boy, to the point where she was actually felt uncomfortable being in the girls' locker room and, you know, seeing girls changing, and just couldn't explain it, but felt like deep down inside she was a boy. If you know my kid, this isn't just something she saw on TV and is reciting. My kid is very, I don't want to say intelligent, because I feel like that's a cliche a lot of parents use, and I know his genetics. So very, very self-aware, very, very instinctive and smart, in case he's watching. But no, he's got an old soul, you know. He's lived a life in 12 years that most kids haven't. He's gone through stuff. And so this wasn't an off-the-cuff thing. And if you know my kid, you know that this makes more sense in the world than anything else that he would identify as a boy. And so, you know, for the past 6 months, I've just been doing nothing but supporting him and learning myself, because my generation, this wasn't something I was familiar with. You know, gay was a concept I was aware of growing up. Transgender was just Mrs. Doubtfire. It was cross-dressing. You know? I
got you, yeah.
So I did research. I looked up things because I'm uneducated about it. And these kids aren't the ones that have an issue with it. It's a lot of my generation and people who don't understand or take the time to get to understand and then just write it off. I think that it's people wanting to get into the opposite bathroom. These kids don't care. They're not afraid of bathrooms, you know, the way we are. Like, I've educated myself, and I'm still learning and still making sure I get the pronouns right. And if you don't think getting someone's preferred pronouns is a big deal, like getting that correct is a big deal, call someone's dog the wrong pronoun. They will lose their mind on you. Her name is Bella. You know, so he's the happiest kid in the world.
Man, so you went, I mean, all of that. So I'm sure you were able to get a ton of material to be able to at least, I mean, that's why you were talking about going into a story mode. Sure.
It's about an hour story with other things in. And I thought you were going to say, I bet you were able to get a ton of people to come hear that intriguing story. And I was going to say, funny, you should bring that up. So I decided to do this single dad thing as a long form, you know, story bit joke. And I first kind of tried it out because I worked with former First Lady Judy O'Bannon. She was the wife of Governor O'Bannon a few years back. She's 83. She has a show on PBS with through WFYI, and they wanted me to teach her to do stand-up.
Wow.
And first joke that I told her when they filmed us like meeting was, what's the difference between a baby and a bag of cocaine? There's no way Eric Clapton would let a bag of cocaine fall out a window.
There it is.
And she lost it, loved the joke. And we had fun recording that, but then we also recorded her big stand-up debut at Red Curb, right? But we were only going to trust her to do 5 minutes. That's all she wanted to do. So we had to have something else for the night. So I was like, Will, why don't I do this single dad story? I was like, I'll work on it, you know, write out into a bit, put some stuff in there. I forgot to do that. So about 2 hours before the show, I just wrote the outline of what I remembered from the story out, put it on a poster board, put it at my feet, and kind of winged 80% of it. And it felt really good and therapeutic. And everybody that was there was like,
this is real.
That's the best set I've ever seen you do. Mainly because I was sick of your other material that I heard so much. But that was the best set I've seen you do. It's vulnerable. It was raw. So I got the idea of like, well, what if I actually did put work into this? Like, what if I actually did work on this set? And I did, you know, like put effort into it. So for about 2 months, I spent no less than 5-6 hours a day working on writing this out, and trial and error. And poor Mark Biddy had to listen to me run this set for him at Red Curb to try to get it right. And then about 2-3 weeks before, I ran it for the first time in front of a live crowd, and I decided to do it in Wisconsin at a one-nighter show. I was booked at the co-headline with Josh Alton, who's a very funny comic, and I've known Josh. And Dennis, I don't know if you're this way. Whenever I'm booked to co-headline, I always defer to experience, to the more experienced headliner, whether they want to go first or second. I just feel like that's a respect I like to show.
That's good, yeah.
But this time I was like, Josh, you know I would defer, but I just want to give you a heads up. I'm going to be talking about heroin, domestic violence, and transgender issues. And he was like, I'm going to go first. So Ryan Ross is a very funny up-and-coming comedian in Indianapolis. I took him with me. He hosted. And Ryan did a great job. It was a standing room only, about 80 people in this little bar. And then Josh destroyed the room, did great. And I went up there and within 15 minutes walked 30 of those 80 people. And it wasn't the walk where they act like they get on their phone to go out to the little lobby. No, they wanted me to know that I was walking them. Like, it was very, very apparent. And a woman came up to me after the show, and Ryan and I were outside smoking a cigarette. She just goes, "That wasn't funny. That was sad. It wasn't funny. Sad. It was sad." And it's one of those things I realized, because like as I was doing it, it was the worst experience doing a set, because as I was doing it, I was seeing where I needed to make adjustments in real time, but couldn't in real time. So I was sitting there going, well, this next part's not going to work. This next part's not going to work. And then I realized that I sprung that on that crowd. You know, they were expecting a very, very different type of comedy show. They weren't prepared. So we started adding some warnings to the Red Curb shows. We put tickets on sale. We didn't charge anything. You just had to, you know, fill out a little mini online form with your email and everything to you know, save your tickets, because we just wanted a crowd, because I was spending a good amount of money to bring a 3-camera shoot in from WFYI, the PBS affiliate who, you know, I worked with before. Yep. And I think it was like 2.5 weeks, all 80 seats were gone. And the night of the show, 27 showed up.
Wow.
27 out of 80.
Oh, that's
bro.
I had sorry, go ahead, Dennis.
No, that's one of those you get this kick in the head when you pour your heart and soul into something, and you get this general feeling of people. Oh, people are responding. People want to see this. People are going to come. And you open the doors, and you got a fraction of the crowd. It's just like somebody just walked up, kicked you in the gut, licked you in the armpit, and walked out the door. I mean, it's just that hurts.
It's just it is because it's literally the only thing I didn't have control over.
Right.
You know, the only thing that I could not control, because the way we did the intro for it with Zane, the amazing sound guy who worked at Red Curb.
Yeah.
The way everything was set up was literally perfect. The set, Mark and I got that set to where, it's the same set that I ran that night as the set that I'm going to be running now as my headlining set.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of that I have to thank also Sloss, because he helped me kind of navigate and learn how to do that darker, heavier material, which is what I was, struggling with initially with doing this story. And I got everything exactly where I wanted. I had everything down. Everything was perfect. And the one thing I couldn't control, I was going into it thinking worst case scenario, 40 show up of the 80. I still to this day have no expectation. I think somebody 50 Cent of me, if you heard about when 50 Cent bought the first 2 rows of Ja Rule's concerts, I think somebody 50 Cent of me, but I don't know. And I don't know why why that many people would go reserve tickets to something to not go, knowing it's a huge deal. Because not only that, the fact that it did that quickly prevented anyone else from being able to possibly go. So it was a real kick in the head. Like I think the footage is going to be terrible. I actually go get it tomorrow. I think it's going to be terrible because I think I was just I don't want to say heartbroken, but just despondent after. It was kind of like in shock.
Well, that throws you off your game when that happens, So you walk away feeling, well, that threw me off my game. I'm not sure what to expect.
Right. Well, we've seen that too happen here, where we're like, there's 15, 20 tickets that were sold, and they didn't show up. And it's like, what? 20 people didn't.
You guys were smart enough to get their money first. That was where we were.
Right.
It would have been a lot easier.
Good point. That's true.
Some money coming in my pocket.
Right. I was like, I'll take the money, but at the same time, you definitely, as we're putting on a show, we want people to be here to enjoy the show. And I want the comics to be able to enjoy a full house, because there's something about it. We've had a few here that were just cooking, and I'm like, man, if we can keep that consistent. But it is something that you just can't expect it. Yeah.
Yeah. You mentioned Andy Beningo. When Andy rolled in, Andy and I have been friends for quite a while. And when Andy rolled in to do the show at Gutty's, I was psyched because this cat is he is kicking it all the time.
Yeah.
And the Friday night show, I think we had less than 20 people.
Yeah, about 25.
I feel better. I have better numbers than Andy. I feel better.
Well, and that was the thing. And I will say this. Andy got up there and did a $10,000 show like he was in a sold out,
like he was in a sold out
on a cruise ship or something. I mean, he just gave them top shelf show.
Great guy. Yeah.
And as he was going through that, I leaned over to Steve and I said, "Man, this is a shame. I said, these people are getting a $10,000 show, and the majority of the room is empty."
Yeah,
and that hurts,
Right. Imagine also putting on top of that, because I'll be honest, I'm very, very kind of transparent, not literally just because of my son, but also because I keep things very see-through. Imagine that feeling on top of you spent $1,500 to document this failure.
I know the feeling, man. I know. So
what we're planning on doing is cutting together some of the footage, trying to shop it as like, look, we're gonna blame weather or something, and say that but this is the story, because we feel the story is interesting enough on its own that it can hopefully carry it, and like just to give people the idea and go, give us the chance to re-film this with a budget, with a give us the resources to do this right. Here's the DIY version we did that we put together. But I don't know. And if not, I'm still going to re-record it at some point anyways. But the 2 ideas I have, and neither of these establishments or venues are aware of this, but the 2 that I'm planning on approaching if Indie PopCon goes on this year, I want to approach them about maybe doing something for their volunteers in a one of the conference rooms, or possibly seeing if maybe Helium would be kind enough to maybe one off night that they don't have anything going on, using that upstairs room, and seeing if they would be on board with doing something like that. Because I'm not wanting any money from it whatsoever. I just want the footage in front of a good crowd, because in my head I see the vision and I know what it is, and with the right crowd to give it the respect that I think it deserves, it'll be it'll be the best thing I've done as a comedian. Some would say the only good thing I've done as a comedian. But boys, I've enjoyed having you on your show. But can I plug one last thing?
Yeah, go ahead. It's all
fire away.
We, like I said earlier, we launched we finally launched our merch store for DIY Jokers.
Okay.
So we have like these shirts available. We have hoodies. We also have individual logos, a la Bullet Club, if you're familiar with pro wrestling.
Yeah.
Where you have like the Angry Redneck Brent Terhune DIY Joker logo. You have the Dave Landau, the Man, Detroit Dark Funnies logo, and you have my single dad / you can also, it's gonna be coming up soon, the special edition King of Bong style logo.
Where can they pick this stuff up?
teespring.com/stores/DIY Jokers. The website is all over our social media as well. There's links in the Instagram bio. It's on Facebook at DIY Jokers and everything. And we've been doing this since the beginning of April. And at the end of May, we are going to take together all of the profits that we've made from this, and we are going to be donating them to the staff of Helium Comedy Club in Indianapolis. And no, it's not to kiss their ass to try to butter them up to see if they'll let me use their upstairs room. It's because when I performed at that club shortly after having a bad, separation from another club in Indianapolis, they went out of their way to treat me right, show me that they cared, much like you guys did. Awesome. So it's just our way of, all three of us love the Heliums. They recorded Dave's album, so Helium has a special place to us. So we're gonna be donating to that staff, who I'm friends with most of as well.
That's cool, man. That's great. That is great. So
and if you guys want me to do anything for Gutties to help anything out at all, I don't know what I can do, because obviously I don't draw. But if you guys need me to literally do anything I can to contribute or help out, just let me know, and I'd be happy to. You guys,
do you happen to have the winning lottery numbers this week's draw?
Got it every time.
My uncle has them, but the things he wants me to do for him, I'm not willing to do.
There it is.
It's not licking his armpit.
Well, I pretty much had my fill of that when I was a kid, so I'm not. I'm done with the armpit.
I don't know what you just said. I hope you're very innocent, and you go back and listen to that. I love you, Dennis. You're one of my favorite.
Hey, so yeah, well, awesome. I will say this: if you had a nice clean version of your story, we'd love to have you roll through.
I messaged you back about that. I told you, I said I can take out all the cursing, but I'm still going to be talking about heroin, domestic violence, not in a gratuitous way, or I'm not glorifying it, obviously. But I mentioned it. I just didn't know if the heavy subject matter would be an issue. If it's not, then let's set it up.
We'll work something out. We'll have to find the right weekend for that to happen, and
you can count on me for 20
crowd for you, man. Yeah, we'll get the crowd for you.
And we'll get at least 2 or 3 people out of that 20 to come for you.
Oh, also listen to the Subjective Comedy Podcast.
Subjective Comedy Podcast.
Subjective Comedy Podcast on Apple and Spotify. We have a rebirth actually coming up in a few episodes. The past few episodes have been monsters. It has been a murderer's row. It was Drew Lynch. It was Brent Terhune. It was Daniel Sloss. It was Ryan Niemiller. And then we have Lisa Sears, who is going to talk about breast cancer, having breast cancer and going through that, and dealing with MS. It's an incredible story. Danny Browning talks about being a single dad trying to build something in comedy in a small town, Southern Indiana. And then we have a complete rebirth. It's going to be almost a whole new format of the show, but I'm really excited about it.
Awesome.
So yeah, Subjective Comedy on Apple and Spotify.
Got it, man. So you heard it here for real. Thanks, Brad. I appreciate it, man. Your time and just hanging out with you. Appreciate all that you're doing for comedy.
Now he's gonna go crazy again. Oh, you said we're gonna be here all night. Oh no.
Oh, you forgot to remind me. Ooh.
Here's the ghost. The ghost.
All right, see you guys.
Yeah, take it easy, man.
Take it easy, man. Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, man. There it is.
So he's got some crazy stuff going on, you know.
Yeah, he got a lot of great things going on, man, and I appreciate just his hustle, and I appreciate how he, is always involved in comedy and what's going on in comedy, especially with the guys that are going around here like Brent Terhune and all of them too as well. They're always doing some great stuff for comedy too as well. So that's awesome to be able to connect with him.
One thing I really, and I should have probably said something on when he was still on the air with us.
Yeah.
The thing I really appreciate about Brad is he has a heart that's very similar to mine, in the fact that he wants to see the comedy scene in Indianapolis, Central Indiana. He wants to see the comedy scene thrive.
Yeah.
And he truly wants Gutties to succeed. He wants Red Curb to succeed. He wants Helium to succeed. He wants Joker, or I don't know if Jokers is still around.
Crackers.
He wants Crackers to succeed. He really wants everything to be happening in a way that's going to lift the comedy scene up. And he does everything he can to encourage and lift comedians up in that process. I mean, the simple fact that he and the guys that are part of his DIY crew are trying to raise money to support the staff at Helium, who have been kind of out of the circle of making money during this shutdown. That's the type of heart this guy has. He's a great guy, and I'm honored to call him friend. And like I said, hopefully, if we can work something out to have him roll through and do something at Gutties, it'd be well worth people to come out and enjoy the show with us. So,
well, bro, we got this weekend coming up, a special show, reopening of Gutties Comedy Club. So everybody, if you haven't gotten your tickets yet, make sure you get your tickets. Go and download our mobile app on Google Play and App Store. You definitely can get your tickets there. And also just be up to date, because we have a show coming after that too. The Gutties Gumbo Variety Show with Gasman, who's an amazing musician. And we got funny man Larry George that's going to be on here too as well. So that's going to be an awesome show. Gutties Gumbo Variety Show has always been a big hit here in Greenwood. They like the music and the comedy mix that we have going on. That's fun.
And then we've got some things that are still in the works. We've got a local levity show that's coming up with comics that are here locally that are, they're at that feature level, or right there about that feature level. But, they really haven't been given the stage to thrive, and so this is an opportunity for them to do that. It's going to be, we got some great stuff coming up. So
man,
all the way around, it's going to be
cool. So just know that
happening.
We're going to have the club ready for you guys too as well. So 6 feet away, all that stuff is pretty much the preparation for all that, to make sure that you feel safe, and make sure that you know that Gutties is all about making sure that you feel safe too as well. But we also want to give you a chance to laugh and have a good time.
I want to mention this because before the shutdown, we were serving Giacomo upper crust pizza. Pizza by the slice. But because of all of the changes that have happened, and until we get to the other side of this thing, we will be just serving prepackaged concessions, so potato chips and candy and that kind of stuff that's prepackaged, so that you don't have to be worrying about somebody grubbing in with their fingers or anything. And our people will be wearing gloves to protect you. They will be wearing masks and that kind of stuff. We want to make sure everybody's protected.
Well, you just mentioned it, masks. So we definitely have masks. We're gonna have these available too as well.
Oh, look at that!
Check this out, bro.
Look at that. Gutties Comedy Club masks.
Gutties masks. We're gonna have these available at the shop, plus the tubies that are gonna be available too. So you definitely can pick that up. So that way you're safe and you're having a good time at Gutties too as well. So we want to make sure that everybody's good to go.
And if you want the one that Steve already wore, there's only a premium. It's a premium $45 price for the one Steve wore, just because nobody else will have that quite that flavor. I don't know. So
you out of control, man.
Anyway, hey,
bye, man.
We'll see everybody at the club. Well, actually, we'll see 40 of you at the club.
40, only 40
on Friday night. We'll see the other 40 of you at the club on Saturday night. Let's have some fun. Let's rock and roll, and let's laugh together. So I think that wraps things up. And if I am not mistaken, I'm still Pops.
Yep, and I'm the Rican.
And this has been
the Pops and the Rican Show.
Deuces.
Pops and the Rican.
Pops and the Rican.
Look at this. Pops and the Rican.
The Pops and the Rican.
What's the Pops and the Rican?
Look at the top of his head.
Pops and the Rican.
Pops and